Your very first experience shooting a blowgun may well have been at McDonald's waiting for your Big Mac to show up. You took the wrapper off your straw, rolled it into a ball, and shot it at your little brother. Then your mom hits you on the back of the head and yells, "Stop that! You'll shoot someone's eye out." Blowing a blowgun can be that simple, but like with most things in life, it's more complicated than it first appears on the surface. Welcome to the Blowgun Channel. I'm John, and in most of my videos so far, we've looked mostly at blowgun equipment. But in this video, we'll be focusing on blowgun blowing and shooting technique. No matter whether you aim for bullseyes or fur, this video is designed to help you become a better shooter. We'll be covering blowing techniques, blowgun barrel and mouthpiece holds, and stance. Note that you can mix and match any of these techniques. You can use whichever blowing technique you prefer with the blowgun barrel and mouthpiece holds you like best with the stance that you find most comfortable. All these holds and stances are also left and right ambidextrous for what you find most comfortable. As we begin, one nice thing about blowgunning is that there are no required holds or techniques. However, there are certain things to pay attention to that will definitely make you a better and more consistent shot. If you've read Arnold Schwarzenegger's autobiography, Total Recall, he lists 10 rules for life. Rule number 2 is don't overthink. And that's my advice to you as you watch this video. Try the techniques that are the most similar to what you're already naturally doing as you find what works for you and what's most comfortable for you. The one exception is that I encourage you to make a specific effort to find a powerful, consistent blowing technique, which is where we'll start with what I consider to be the most important part of this video. And we'll also start with an important warning. Always inhale away from the mouthpiece. Some blowgun instructions will tell you to inhale through your nose, and that works for 40 and 50 caliber blowguns. But for the 625 caliber, appropriately named big bore blowguns, I have to inhale through my mouth to get enough air. But however you inhale, always inhale away from the mouthpiece. Never inhale with your lips on the mouthpiece. I was extremely fortunate when I started shooting a blowgun again about 10 years ago to very early on come across the tuh blowing technique that you've heard me mention multiple times in my other videos. In fact, today, 7 years after my first blowgun video, I consider this technique to be even more important than I thought it was back then. And let me show you why. I've tested the velocities of a lot of different kinds of blowgun darts over the years, and here's the weight versus velocity graph from an extensive amount of testing. The heavier the dart, the slower it goes. Notice the wide range of dart sizes and styles here. Now let me remove the clutter And you can see that I've gotten an incredibly consistent data pattern. You can see that even with this wide range of dart styles, with different levels of air resistance and different cones with different shapes and with varying fit, I've gotten extremely consistent results. And that can only be the result of extremely consistent blowing. When I ran statistics on all this data, I got a correlation coefficient of 0.98. Loosely translated, that means that the velocities from all these very different darts falls within 98% of a perfectly smooth curve with absolutely no variation. That's incredibly consistent. Okay, this all looks great on paper, but why is this so important in the field? Let me show you. This is a family member's very first blowgun target. You might look at this and think, gosh, he's a terrible shot, but you'd be very wrong. Notice how his shots start low, but then incrementally move up to the target. He then overcompensates and has one high shot. But if he shot this same target with perfect breath control, this is what it would look like. This would equal a standardized blowgun competition score of 182, an expert gold level, just under the first master level for a first target. I'll also tell you that if your target looks a little like this, with your shots all lined up above or below the bullseye, your aim is great, but improving your breath control will really improve your shooting. Now that you understand the incredible importance of your blowing technique, we'll begin with some specific methods. Note that some shooters prefer not to use a mouthpiece, especially for some of these tonguing techniques where you partially or completely seal your tongue against the barrel of the blowgun. However, for most shooters, I recommend sticking with a blowing technique that allows using a mouthpiece, which helps you to much more easily create a good and consistent seal. One other important detail is that when you prepare to blow, you want to take a deep breath, but not the deepest possible breath. Breathing too deeply is uncomfortable and hard to sustain without shaking as you aim. Most experienced shooters will say that they inhale to about 75 to 90% of their maximum, and without actual medical instruments to measure this, I estimate that I inhale to about 90% capacity myself. Take a full breath that's at a comfortable level and that you can repeat consistently. I also take 2 breaths before I shoot and will hold and blow with the second breath. I think most shooters will find taking 2 or maybe 3 breaths the most comfortable. However, if you're hunting, your window to shoot may be limited and you may need to inhale and blow with your first breath. So for hunting practice, practice at least part, if not all of your shooting with 1 breath. For most of these techniques that we'll be discussing, I'll be using much of the nomenclature from the sadly out-of-print books, Blowgunning for Beginners, and Fukiado, The Way of the Sport Blowgun by the late David Sustak. I'll list all these blowgun techniques, starting with the ones I think you'll find the most comfortable and the easiest to use. We'll begin with the very simple technique that you've already heard me recommend, the tuh technique. Inhale, and when you blow, say tuh forcefully into the mouthpiece. This pre-compresses the air in your lungs and releases it in one forceful blast that will give you consistent power and velocity, which is a must for good accuracy. Note that the tip of your tongue touches the roof of your mouth right behind your top front teeth. For nearly all of these blowing techniques, you should feel it all the way down in your gut or diaphragm. A slight variation on this technique is to touch the tip of your tongue to the base of your upper teeth. The tongue does not touch the blowgun. Another but more significant variation on this same technique is to touch the tip of your tongue to the back of your top front teeth and the top of the blowgun barrel, but without entirely blocking the barrel. This method requires not using a mouthpiece and, in my opinion, is much harder to learn and to master. This is the method that master blowgunner and author Hironori Higuchi uses. Note that all of these are called tonguing techniques. The next blowing technique is called tongue percussion. With this method, you inhale and then extend your tongue past your lips to seal the blowgun barrel. When you're ready to shoot, quickly withdraw your tongue as you blow. Again, as with nearly all these techniques, you want to blow forcefully from your diaphragm or your gut. This is also a tonguing technique, and you can combine this method with cheek percussion, which we'll discuss in a moment. Abdominal percussion is our next blowing technique. Inhale and then tightly purse your lips, keeping them closed as you place them against the mouthpiece. Then blow explosively from deep in your lungs and push up with your diaphragm like you're coughing. Some shooters keep their lips tightly sealed for a fraction of a second after they start to blow to allow pressure to build up in their mouth. As the pressure builds, the seal of your lips breaks and releases the air explosively into the blowgun. Cheek percussion is a variation that can be added to tongue percussion or abdominal percussion. Inhale and puff out your cheeks like some trumpet players do. Keep the pressure sealed with your tongue or with your lips, and when you're ready, blow. If you're using your tongue, it acts as a plug and you retract it when you blow. Last, the who technique is to simply make an open airway path directly from your lungs to the blowgun and then blow. This is probably the technique you used on that first childhood day in McDonald's. And while it may have been your first blowing technique and the one that felt the most natural, hopefully one of these other blowing techniques will serve you much better. For all these blowing techniques, there's one common factor to be aware of: water vapor. The oxygen you breathe in is used during respiration to break down glucose for energy, and the two chemical byproducts that you breathe out are carbon dioxide and water. You can actually see this water when you see your breath, actually the water condensing on a cold day. Water will also condense in the barrel of your blowgun barrel, and it can definitely interfere with your shooting. If you've ever noticed a splash of water droplets around your dart when it hit the blowgun target, or seen a dart tail wag in flight, that's caused by water condensation. This problem varies depending on the air temperature and the humidity. Also, try to avoid drinking a lot right before shooting your blowgun, which exacerbates this effect. You can clean water condensation from your blowgun barrel by blowing paper towels rolled into cones or other cleaning darts through it, or use a cleaning swab on a string with a small weight at the end. I like to use a homemade cleaning dart made from a gun cleaning swab inserted into a stun dart tail cone with a gun cleaning patch wrapped around it. I use several cleaning darts to keep any one of them from getting too wet, and blow the dart into a small bucket of rags. If you use a cleaning swab on a string, do not use monofilament fishing line, as this will groove your blowgun barrel. I found this out the hard way. Whatever method you use to dry your barrel, do this every 5 to 10 shots or so, depending on the air temperature and the humidity. This brings us to the second major part of this video, blowgun holds. Before we continue, grab your blowgun if it's handy, or pretend you're holding your blowgun and take aim at this virtual target. Really, do this silly little exercise right now because it's actually pretty important to what we're going to discuss next. Now, without moving, take note of which hand, right or left, you're holding the blowgun barrel with and which hand you're holding the mouthpiece with. And notice how you're positioning each hand. The reason I had you do this simple exercise is that before you start overthinking it, I want you to be aware of how you're already naturally holding your blowgun in a comfortable position. There are a number of different grips and holds you can use, and if you spend too much time thinking about it, none of them will feel comfortable. Remember, Arnold Schwarzenegger's life rule number 2 is don't overthink, and that's really true here. Again, for most of the terminology for these holds, I've adhered to the nomenclature in David Sustak's books, Blowgunning for Beginners and Fukiado, The Way of the Sport Blowgun. We'll begin with the various balance hand holds, which I prefer to call barrel holds. Here, Blowgunning for Beginners says the idea is to balance the barrel and not grip it tightly. When you shoot, it's a muscular action that may jerk your arm slightly, and balancing the barrel rather than gripping it tightly minimizes the reaction of the barrel muzzle to this shifting motion. However, despite this advice, I've always found myself using a moderately snug grip on the barrel. And before we go any further, we need to briefly pause to discuss right and left hand holds. Like most people, I'm right eye and right hand dominant, and 40 years of rifle and shotgun shooting have me naturally holding my rifle barrel and my blowgun barrel with my left hand. However, even if you're completely right dominant like me and most people, some experts will tell you to hold the barrel with your right hand instead. All these grips we'll be discussing are ambidextrous, so use the hand and the holds that you find most comfortable. Of course, you can also combine any of these holds with any of the blowing techniques that we just covered. I'll list these barrel holds starting with the ones I think you'll find the most comfortable and the easiest to use. Note that in demonstrating these holds, I may switch between right and left hand holds depending on which hand shows the hold the best. All of these holds are ambidextrous. We'll talk about the resting style barrel hold first. Balance the barrel on the palm or on the web of skin between your thumb and forefinger. You may want to point your index finger forward toward the target, which many master blowgunners find helps to improve their aiming technique. I really enjoy shooting the 625 caliber big bore blowguns, and to me, the large diameter barrel plus possibly an even larger diameter barrel grip encourage this more comfortable open hold. This is the hold that I use, although I encircle the barrel more with my fingers and don't point with my index finger. This is also a comfortable grip that works well if you're wearing bulky gloves. You'll also see other variations on this basic resting style barrel hold. Note that if your thumb is on the far side of your hand away from your body, you're probably using a resting style barrel hold. Next, for the trumpet style barrel hold, you grip the barrel with your hand held like a fist with your fingers over the top of the barrel and your thumb underneath the barrel. This is a much simpler and straightforward hold, although I find it uncomfortable. If your thumb is on the near side of your hand toward your body, you're probably using a trumpet style barrel hold. For the pencil grip barrel hold, you hold the barrel like you would hold a pen or pencil when you're writing. Note that your thumb goes under the barrel rather than encircle over the top of the barrel. If you're right-handed but feel more comfortable holding your blowgun barrel with your left hand, you'll probably find this hold uncomfortable. You may also come across other variations of this hold, including ones that also use the index finger as a pointer for aiming. Last, the Slockmaster Viper blowgun provides an ambidextrous vertical pistol grip. I do shoot well with a vertical grip, but again, decades of rifle and shotgun shooting have made me more comfortable with a horizontal hold. Interestingly, if you watch the Slockmaster videos, you'll occasionally see Tim Wells shooting a blowgun that has a vertical pistol grip on it, but using a resting style horizontal barrel hold instead. Of course, if you don't like the vertical pistol grip, you can slide it right off and use the blowgun as is or add a third-party horizontal grip. On the other hand, Slockmaster sells the vertical pistol grip separately, which you can add to most 625 caliber blowguns. The Gamo Aftermath Primal Warrior 50 caliber blowgun, which is no longer available, is one of the few other blowguns I've seen with a vertical grip. And you can also buy much simpler and smaller vertical grips for the 40 and 50 caliber blowguns too. So those are the various barrel holds. We'll continue this second part of our video with mouthpiece holds. Here, Blowgunning for Beginners states that the goal is to hold the mouthpiece firmly against your lips so that you have a tight seal and no air escapes from around the mouthpiece. I'll list these in the order that I think are the most comfortable and that you're most likely to use. We'll start with the very simple trumpet-style mouthpiece hold, which is identical to the trumpet-style barrel hold. Grip the barrel with your hand held like a fist, with your fingers over the top of the barrel and your thumb underneath the barrel. Note that on the 625 caliber blowguns, the large mouthpiece grip of the cold steel blowguns, and especially the finger grip mouthpiece of the Slockmaster blowguns, almost require this hold. And the trumpet style mouthpiece hold is actually the hold that I find the most comfortable for shooting all my different caliber blowguns. This is a comfortable grip that also works well if you're wearing gloves. One ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. For the ring style mouthpiece hold, hold the barrel between your thumb and index finger as though you're holding a ring in your hand while clenching or curling the other three fingers. A slight variation on this mouthpiece hold is to wrap your two fingers more around the barrel and actually hold the barrel between the index and middle fingers. You may also see other variations on the basic ring style mouthpiece hold. For the cigarette style mouthpiece hold, you hold the barrel between your index and middle finger, sealing the mouthpiece with your hand flat against your mouth with your thumb up. A variation on this hold is to clench or curl your ring and pinky fingers instead of keeping them flat against your face. Last, the indigenous style hold is really both a barrel and a mouthpiece hold. This hold is utilized by a number of the native blowgun using peoples around the world, including South America where I grew up, and is by far the most difficult of the blowgun holds to master. Both hands are at the mouthpiece, and both hands hold the blowgun palms up. The closer mouthpiece hand, usually the right hand, cups the blowgun against the mouth, while the farther barrel hand, usually the left hand, supports the weight of the barrel for aim control, sometimes resting the barrel on the index finger. There are a number of variations on this hold from around the world, with a variety of finger and hand positions, including using the closer hand flat against the face to cup the mouthpiece to the lips, similar to the cigarette-style mouthpiece hold. The indigenous style technique works best for aiming straight up with a blowgun for treetop shots, like is done by hunters in the Amazon basin, and is very difficult to use when shooting level at a target along a path parallel to the ground. I don't recommend this blowgun hold for general purpose shooting and have included it mainly for historical reasons. That brings us to the third and final part of this video, shooting stance. Your stance needs to be stable and comfortable to shoot consistently and accurately. If you're participating in a competition, your foot must never extend past the firing line. The feet together stance is very simple, with both feet close together and directly facing the target. The feet apart stance is identical, but as the name suggests, your feet are wider apart at about shoulder width. This is the stance I use now. When I first got back into blowgunning, I used the traditional shotgun shooting stance of weak foot forward, which we'll look at next. However, while I was working on the blowgun ballistics video, I shot hundreds of darts at a chronograph right in front of me. And the feet apart stance seemed most natural for that task. When I returned to range or target shooting, the weak foot forward shotgun stance now seemed cramped in the arms and torso and a little uncomfortable to me. And at this point, it felt very natural for me to switch to this feet apart stance. Next is the weak foot forward stance that we were just talking about. Like me, if you've done a lot of rifle or shotgun shooting, you're probably already very familiar with this pose. Place your non-dominant foot forward. That's your left foot if you're right-handed. Your front foot and your body are about 45 degrees away from forward, facing off toward the side of the target. You'll rotate your torso to face the target to shoot. Your dominant back foot can be parallel to the shooting line, although when I was using this stance, I found it more comfortable to point my back foot slightly forward. Place your feet about shoulder width apart. Last is the strong foot forward stance, which is the mirror image of weak foot forward. Place your dominant foot, your right foot if you're right-handed, in front of the other foot. Point your toes about 45 degrees away from forward, off toward the side of the target. Your dominant back foot is parallel to the firing line, although again, you may find it more comfortable to point it slightly forward. Place your feet about shoulder width apart. Let's finish with some very basic shooting tips. First, work on your follow-through. When you blow your blowgun, maintain your posture and keep the barrel on target until the dart actually strikes. I was not doing a very good job of this, and even though I was hitting my target, I found out when I filmed the Blowgun Sights video that I was clearly moving my barrel soon after the dart left the blowgun. A blowgun dart is a very slow-moving projectile, and the longer your blowgun is, the more important practicing good follow-through is. As we wrap up, I want to emphasize that you not be overwhelmed by all these different techniques. Again, be like Arnie and don't overthink things. Start with the techniques that are closest to what you're already comfortably and naturally doing. Find what works for you. Blowgunning is a very individual sport. The difference between some of these techniques is very subtle, and you won't notice a difference from just shooting a dozen darts. If a couple of these techniques feel equally comfortable to you, then I suggest that you shoot several official target rounds with each technique and see if one of them gives you a higher score. For detecting subtle differences, shooting by the numbers is really the only way to test yourself. Another tip is to start your practicing at 7 yards. You should be able to hit the bullseye regularly at this range. Once you can hit the bullseye with nearly every shot, move back to 8 yards, then 9 yards, and then finally the maximum target range and recommended maximum hunting range of 10 yards. This is a great way to increase your skill and start your blowgun shooting off with confidence. Last, check the Blowgun Sights video for detailed information about blowgun aiming techniques. While a very high percentage of shooters attracted to blowguns seem to be instinct shooters, if you're not, like me, then a blowgun sight can be a big help. Be sure to check the video on Blowgun Sights for more information. So that's it for our deep dive into blowgun blowing and shooting techniques. As you try some of these different techniques, remember our basic rules to not overthink things and be comfortable with the holds and techniques you choose. We've come a long way together since that McDonald's straw. Some of these techniques are certain to help you become a better shooter as you blow responsibly.